A promising Six Nations was followed by disappointing results and a drop-off in performances. But I strongly believe that this England team are not that far away. Hello, amateurs. Welcome back to our Six Nations series, here with you throughout the championship with some fantastic guests, might I add, and beyond. So hit subscribe down below to make sure you don't miss out on any future episodes. Now, this video, though, is all about the England team. It's all about the team that I think that they're going to pick to face Ireland in their opening match this coming Saturday in what is a huge game. Now, I recorded a pod yesterday with Mike Friday, and I'll link it up there. Mike gave us loads of great information about England, and we actually even delved into the England-Ireland matchup a little bit as well. There's a ton of great stuff in there. Mike's got great rugby knowledge, and yeah, he gave me his thoughts on selection as well. Some of those are very interesting, so go and have a look at those. Now, this England team, there were injury worries. Primarily, the big one, I think, that was a massive concern was Alex Mitchell, but he has been confirmed that at this point he will be fit and available to play on Saturday, which is very important for England if they're going to try and play this fast, open attacking style, which I hope they do. Okay, let's get into it, and we will look at the forwards. Oh, that's the bench. There we go. Let's skip back to the forwards. A little bit of a tease there. Okay, the forwards I've gone with, and the loosehead side I think is fairly straightforward. Ellis Genge starts, massive leadership potential, and he's played well for England, actually. I think there's been times when his scrummaging hasn't quite been there, but generally against Ireland it has. He's gone well against Ty Furlong in the past, and I think he'll actually be disappointed that Furlong's not fit to play this weekend. At hooker, Jamie George, former captain, is injured, so that relieves a straight shootout really between Karen Dickey and Theo Dan, both of which who are both back in good form as well. They've gone through dips. Theo Dan just growing pains, maybe just after bursting onto the scene, just dipped off a little bit. Karen Dickey, through injury, was his big problem, a shoulder injury. But they are both back and playing very well. And I could make a case for either of them, depending on which way you wanted to go tactically, you can make a case for either of them starting or being on the bench. And I suspect going on through the tournament, you might see Theo Dan start some games. On the tight head side, I think Will Stewart now is absolutely cemented as England's #1 tight head. Another guy who's scrummaging-wise has been inconsistent, I would say, over the years. However, he had a fantastic autumn, and I think he's definitely the man now for the #3 shirt. Now, the back five, and this is where it's always very interesting, I think, because you have to think about it as a whole conglomerate here. You have to think about the line-out, you have to think about carrying, you have to think about breakdown. And then you balance your team based on all those factors, the opposition, the weather, all that kind of stuff. And the big question mark here, or the big decision, I think, initially, is who do you pick at 6? And then the rest of it kind of follows in. I think England have played their best rugby in recent times with Chesham at 6. And although he hasn't played a lot recently, I still think if he's in the squad, then he must be available to play. And if he's available to play, then you start him. Let him run for as long as he can. If he gasses out, he gasses out. But I think you start him, and I think you go hard at the Irish lineup, which is sometimes faltered in the past. That then means that Itoje and Martin start in the second row. Again, England have played, I think, their best rugby with that 4-5-6 combination. So I'm very happy to be picking that starting against Ireland. Now, big decision for me. I don't think Borthwick's going to do this, but I think Ben Curry's been the form open side at the moment in the Premiership. I think Tom Curry is not quite the player he was. I don't know why that is. Again, it could just be a dip in form. It could be the fact that he's wearing a scrum cap now and he hasn't done that before. I don't know, but I don't think he's quite at his full powers. I think Ben Curry has been the better brother at the moment, and I would be picking him at 7, along with Ben Earl. Again, a big choice here with Tom Willis being absolutely rampant in the Premiership and probably the form #8. Well, he is the form #8 because Ben Earl's been playing 7 for Saracens. However, I just think, again, Borthwick talks about consistency and combinations so often that I think he will start with Earl and potentially have Willis on the bench. Again, Willis has been capped before, but I think for such a big game like this, I think there would just be so much pressure, having had the season that he's had, to go out and perform that again immediately. And if he doesn't, psychologically, what problems could that cause? So this is what I think. I think this is what they're going to go with. Well, this is that's what I'd pick. I'm not sure he's going to pick Ben Curry, but we'll see. Having said that, actually, there's a journalist this morning who's suggesting that the back row might be both Currys and Ben Earl, which would be ferocious. At the breakdown, I think England's line-out might be a real problem there, which is the downside of that. But, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, into the backs. And as with the Irish team, the very big question for England is who's going to be starting at 10. And Mike Friday and I went into this in some detail, actually. So if you want a real detailed analysis of that, go and check out that video, which I linked previously. And I'll link it in the top of the description as well. So it's very easy to find. I've gone for Finn Smith. I just think to start a game, you want that well-oiled, you want that person who's going to bring other people into the game. You want the person that is going to be easier to play with. And by that, I mean that Marcus is such an individual that it takes time for people to build those relationships with him. And him and Lawrence have Slade have played a lot together now, and they still don't look like they're all on the same page all the time. I feel like that's easier for centres and wings to get that with Finn Smith. So that's why I've gone with him. Mitchell, obviously, at 9, he is number 1 without any question. Into the centres. And I do think Lawrence and Slade are still the guys. It hasn't functioned perfectly by any means. But I think maybe with Finn Smith inside them, you might see a little bit more from them in terms of fluidity. Also, there's been rumours that England are going to not abandon the blitz defence, but soften it so it's not all or nothing. And I think Henry Slade will be the key point of that, whether he can turn off what he's doing at Exeter, whether he can turn off what he's been doing for England for the past 12 months and show a little bit more discipline, a little bit more connectivity with the people either side of him. We don't know, we'll see, but I still think he's the right man for that shirt. Onto the wings, and for me, Tommy Freeman's an absolute shoo-in on the right wing. I always want him on the right wing because he jumps much better for balls, and challenging for aerial duels is going to be key, I think. And then just out-and-out gas on the left wing with Ollie Slytone. He's a great all-round player, don't get me wrong, but I think you need real pace in international rugby, and he's definitely got that, and he's performed well when he's had his chances for England. Another shoe-in for me in this situation. I mean, actually, I say shoe-in. There's a lot of people talking about Marcus Smith playing fullback. For me, that is not going to happen this week. No chance whatsoever. Away in Ireland, when the weather's due to be a little bit dodgy, you want Stewart. You want Stewart to catch those high balls, especially with the law changes as well around shielding. You need Stewart back there right now. And even if Furbank was fit, I would still probably be picking Stewart for this fixture. So that's the 15. You got a little quick glimpse of the bench earlier, but here we'll go back into it again. Theo Dan hooking, and then I've gone for the more scrummaging props on the bench. Again, I think it's actually pretty close between all 4 of the other props in the squad. Baxter against Bevan Rod and Apoko for sure against Hayes. But I think Baxter and Cunnington South are the guys that are more, Baxter and Apoko for sure are the guys who are stronger in the scrum. And I think probably Rod and Hayes are the ones that are stronger in the loose. So depends what you're looking for. I think England might go after the scrum late in this game, and I want those 2 guys to be on there to do that. Another big choice, 5-3 or 6-2. I think it's going to be forward dominated. I think it's going to be attritional. I think there's going to be a lot going on. And with what I said about Chesham earlier, with his lack of minutes, I feel like we need to go 6-2. Cunningham South, Tom Curry and Willis is a scary combination of forwards to bring off the bench. There's some power there, some dynamism, some absolute oomph. And I think that could be a massive change in the game when those 3 hit the field late in the game. You can do this because you've got Marcus Smith there now, who can obviously play 10 and fullback. You've got Freeman who can cover in at centre. Slade can cover all over the place. So those players in the England backline are really all quite interchangeable. So that really does allow for a 6-2 option. The scrum half one was a real tough call for me. I don't know what he's going to go with. I mean, I think Randall's next in line. He's been playing really well. And if a bit of space does open up towards the end of the game, he's definitely the person you want on there to exploit that or to raise the pace of the game. But it's unclear whether Jack Van Poortveet's fit or whether Ben Spencer was even halfway in with a shot. Who knows? But I've gone with Randall. I've no idea whether that's going to be what he picks. It's very tough to know what the scrum half situation is. And again, that video with Mike Friday, we go into a lot of depth with that. Geezer is a scrum half expert, and it's a real interesting quandary in terms of the players he's picked, then tactically what kind of game plan Borthwick wants to play. So yeah, go and check that one out again for more detail on that. Okay, but to sum this one up, what do I want to see from England on Saturday? What I want to see most, is identity. I want to see them all looking like they're on the same page. It looked like that to me at periods during last Six Nations. We had a real idea of what they were trying to do. Weren't always successful, but it was exciting, and I was really happy with that. That's gone away a little bit throughout the summer test in New Zealand. It just didn't, and then the autumn was very muddled. It looked like there was players who were really playing different game plans, especially in defence. So identity. I want to see them looking like they're a team. I want to see them being connected and having good combinations. That's first and foremost. And then a bit on the blitz defence as well. They've gone all out for it the last 12 months. And at this point, it hasn't worked. You'd be a brave man to really continue that all or nothing blitz defence, which they've been doing. There's been rumours at the start of the camp that it's going to be softened a little bit. And I'd like to see that. I think it is an exciting defence. It is high pressure. It is high risk, high reward. But I think they've been cut open too many times, and that's damaging to confidence. Alrighty, that's what I think. But what do you think at home? Do you think this is the England team that Borthwick will pick? If not, what team would you pick? Which players have I not mentioned that you think will have a big impact this coming weekend? And do you think they are good enough to beat Ireland? Most importantly, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll join you there for a friendly conversation. Give this video a thumbs up while you're down there, and you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next, and do not forget to get out and play.